So we're going to play some what's more likely, and the first category involves this game between two teams who are teetering on the brink as it relates to whether or not they're going to have a chance to make it to the postseason. So what's more likely? Kirk Cousins doesn't throw an interception against the Texans, or Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is sacked only once, Chris?
I think I'm going to go with – this is a tough one because I don't really believe in either one. But I think if I'm going to pick one, I'll go with Kirk Cousins doesn't throw an interception. Just because the Texans' defense is not good. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Really, they can't really stop the run all that well. They're not great in the secondary. They make mistakes every week. I mean, we saw last week Pittsburgh threw Big Ben through a shallow cross, and there was nobody there on the field, I believe, to defend him, if I'm remembering that play the correct way. But I think I'll take that just because right now the Texans are a little offensively challenged too, and I think Deshaun Watson, they're not pass protecting great, and he's going to scramble around and try to make his plays that way, and that's going to lead to a few more sacks. I think this is a game for Cousins that he might not have to take a number of chances and might not get the hell beat out of him to where he has to throw balls while he's getting crushed or killed every other drop back pass.
I think it's more likely that Deshaun Watson is sacked only once because look, the Vikings lost their Wednesday. I mean, we've been talking so much about the potential unfairness of the Titans not being fully prepared for the Steelers.
You're right.
We haven't really focused on the idea that the Vikings, who were just the bystanders in all this, they just had the short straw of playing the team that had the outbreak. They don't get to come back to work until today. They're already behind, and that may lead to them pressing a little bit more. The quarterback trying to do more to make things happen. The defense of the Texans being better prepared to face an offense that hasn't had the time to properly plan and prepare from an execution standpoint on how to beat it. So I think it's more likely that Cousins throws an interception. So based on our two choices, it's more likely that Deshaun Watson is sacked only once.
Where are we at with Danielle Hunter, like in his health? Is he getting close to here anytime soon? Being back?
He's still on
Yeah.
injured reserve. He
is,
hasn't
right?
been activated.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're not hearing anything yet there, too. Okay, all right. Go ahead.
The window opened as
Yeah.
of yesterday for him to come back. He didn't come back. I guess in theory he could still come back. But see, until he comes back, they don't have to tell us what the injury is.
Yeah.
That was the perfect timing by the Vikings. They kicked the can for all of training camp and just said it's a tweak, it's a tweak, it's a tweak. And then on the day that the first injury report would have come out in advance of week one, he got placed on IR.
Yeah.
So now he's in a position where he can come back, but he isn't back yet.
All right.
All right, next topic. The Patriots 2-1 at the Chiefs 3-0. By the way, the Patriots 7-point underdogs for only the third time in the last
Is that right? 7 points?
years.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the picks podcast, by the way, later this morning. I can tell that Chris is already fully prepared.
Not for the spreads. You know, I
game.
just picked the games first. I haven't
All
looked
right.
at the spreads yet.
What's more likely in this game between the Patriots and the Chiefs? The Chiefs hold the Patriots to under 125 rushing yards, or Patrick Mahomes throws an interception.
Woo, man. Okay, so here's one little interesting angle that does jump out to me about this Chiefs-Patriots football game. The fact that the Chiefs got to play the Baltimore Ravens last week and see that offense, right? I do think that's going to help them out for the New England attack. I do, because, again, not that it's exactly the same, but in theory, there's a lot of similarities there. Quarterback's in the shotgun. Quarterback can run. There's moving parts everywhere. Oh, is it going this way? Is it going that way? Oh, wow, they're double pulling guards, and the quarterback's keeping it, and the running. So that, to me, is going to help Kansas City out, I think. And what Kansas City did to Baltimore last week is they called their bluff. Early in the game especially, they called their bluff. They just said, we're going to get in your face and play man-to-man, and there's going to be 9 guys right at the line of scrimmage. And do you have the guts to start the game off throwing balls with Lamar Jackson and trying to beat us with the pass game? And Baltimore didn't. And then, of course, they fell behind. So I have a feeling that same situation is going to present itself once again. So I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes throws an INT. I am. I'm going to go with it. Not that I think it's going to be a game-losing INT or anything like that, but I think he'll be aggressive against this Patriots secondary. They're good. They might make one play, and that's where I'll give it to them. Like, I think he has a game where he throws 3, maybe 4 touchdowns and just like 1 interception, something like that.
Okay, I'm confused. Are you saying the Chiefs are or aren't going to hold the Patriots under 125 rushing yards?
I think they are. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yes, I am. I'm thinking.
Well, then that's your choice. Then that's more likely.
You know what? You're right. That's my. You're right. You're right. I don't know what I was thinking there. I'm sorry.
I don't either.
I don't either. I guess I was confused in my brain about which way I was going there. So yes, I'm going with I'd rather go with the Chiefs defense. Or I mean Mahomes throwing an interception because I believe the Chiefs defense will be prepared to stop that great running game of the Patriots. There we go.
So, all right, this is quickly becoming who's on first. The choices are this. The Chiefs hold the Patriots under 125 yards rushing, or Patrick Mahomes throws an interception. What's more likely?
I'm going to go then with the Chiefs holding the Patriots under 125 to choose it. Thank you. I got it right.
Final answer? Need a lifeline? Are you sure?
I do, badly.
Look, okay, so to set up your point,
yeah,
the Chiefs are going to do the same thing to the Patriots that they did to the Ravens.
Right.
Do you believe that the Patriots will be able to throw the ball more effectively and be more willing to throw the ball than the Ravens were?
Yes, and yes. And that's why I was thinking of that too, and that's where I was getting all myself confused there because we don't know these things, right? So I just want to tell people on TV and everything. I'm just seeing this little element right now. I'm going with it on the fly here. I didn't get to prepare for this. So, but yes, my thought there is that they're going to get in the face of these Patriot wide receivers. They're going to call the bluff on, yes, you're going to have to drop back and pass to beat us, and we think our cover guys are pretty good, and your receivers are still questionable at this point. I think they will, but I think the Patriots and Cam Newton they're a better passing team to me than the Baltimore Ravens. I would rather trust them in that situation than I would Baltimore as far as attacking through the air against that Kansas City defense.
And while we're in the vicinity of the fourth wall, let's go ahead and kick it down. What Chris is saying is we just show up and we just sit down. And our prep is what we carry around in our brains, the accumulation of everything we do all day, every day. So it's kind of like, remember that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
This isn't scripted. I mean, we have a general idea of what the show's going to be about.
Right.
But we really don't plan anything out.
No.
We just sit down and we look at what the next segment is, and we kind of come up with things on the fly. And sometimes it works.
And sometimes you can talk yourself in confusing situations.
Sometimes it doesn't work. All right.
Which one are you picking, to be clearly?
I agree with you.
Okay.
And I think that this is going to be Cam Newton's ultimate test as the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Patrick Mahomes and Cam Newton have never crossed paths before. The last time the Panthers and the Chiefs played was in 2016 when Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. So this is, for as compelling as Monday night was, maybe this one will be even better because maybe Cam Newton is better suited to cross swords with Patrick Mahomes, to not say, hey, this is Superman. Superman's not going to say that the Chiefs are his kryptonite. This is a Superman who's impervious to kryptonite,
right?
Except when he gets injured. Other than that, but I think that it's going to be a very compelling contrast, and I think that Cam Newton is going to be keenly aware that Lamar Jackson was the MVP last year, and in the aftermath of the game Sunday, win or lose, how Cam Newton fares against that defense that just shut down Lamar Jackson, that just held him under 97 yards, that just left him flustered and frustrated in the fourth quarter, that if Cam Newton can perform under those circumstances, even if they fall short like they did against the Seahawks, it reflects very well on Cam Newton, and he's going to know that, and I think the coaches are going to know that to push his buttons and get him ready. So I agree with you. Fewer than 125 yards rushing, but maybe a passing game from Cam like the one we saw week 2 against the Seahawks.
Exactly. That's what I think. And I think, again, with Kansas City, as we've talked about so many times over the last 2 years too, I would just have a hard time thinking they're going to want to die a slow death like the Raiders did last week, where you're just going to let the Patriots hold the ball the whole second half and just smash it down your face for 6 yards and 7 yards at a time, right? I mean, we know that's a disservice to the Chiefs. Their best thing about their team is the guy that's playing quarterback and the receivers around him and what they do there. So they don't want to be on the sidelines for, 40 minutes of this game. So that's where I really look at it. And I think Spags will force the issue to go, you're going to have to beat us with the pass today. We like our corners, and we're not sure how good your receivers are quite yet. And and ultimately, I think the Pats will have some success too, because I think Cam Newton's a better thrower than Lamar Jackson. I think he'll stand in there and be more comfortable within the pocket. And I think Josh McDaniels has more creative ways to get people open than I do Greg Roman, and just especially the drop-back pass game.
And Bill Belichick understands the Chiefs are going to score their points. They're going on that 18-2 run at some point during the game. You've got to score points when you can. You got to take touchdowns over field goals. You've got to have not necessarily sustained methodical drives to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, although that helps, but you've just got to score your points because they're going to score their points. Whether they have limited opportunities, maximum opportunities, they're still going to score their points. All right, the Bills, who scored 35 points on Sunday against the Rams, go to Las Vegas for the second game ever at Allegiant Stadium. What's more likely, Josh Allen throws for 300-plus passing yards, or Derek Carr throws an interception? Carr, one of the handful of quarterbacks who is yet to throw an interception this year.
No, I know. And that's why I'm going to go with Josh Allen throws for 300 yards for two reasons. One, first off, the Raiders are aggressive in the secondary. The Raiders got some pretty good cover guys. They do. And then they're not bad there. Now, they lost their rookie first-rounder Arnett to, I think, the hand injury, right? So he won't be able to play. But because they're kind of had that confidence in their corners and everything like that too, I don't know if that's a good thing this week. Not against this team. Not against this guy right now who's playing like, other than Wilson and Mahomes, the third-best quarterback in the sport, or at least in that conversation with Rodgers. I mean, he's on fire. And then the weapons we know are legit. It's hard to match up with them right now. So I am going to go 300 yards because, first off, I don't think Derek Carr is going to take a lot of chances. The Bills don't have a great pass rush. They play a lot of zone coverage, as we talked about yesterday, so they don't make you always throw the ball into really, really tight windows that way. And I think the Raiders are going to be able to run the ball on Buffalo, as we saw the Rams do to Buffalo last week. So I think because of that, I just can't imagine Carr taking many chances. I'm going to go with Allen, and what we've seen the first 3 weeks was just them bombing it away.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. And I think really both have a chance of happening. But the Buffalo defense, as we've talked, isn't at as high level as it was in recent years. But Josh Allen is at an incredibly high level, and he's just going to continue to do it and just overpower that Raiders defense. All right, Colts 2-1 at Bears 3-0. What's more likely? Nick Foles solidifies his starting spot, or we're talking about Mitchell Trubisky in wistful terms next week?
This is, to me, this is one of the under-the-radar best games of the weekend. I really do think this. I mean, this is a Colts team that I look at and still go, damn, they should be 3-0, and they look good when I watch them. Like, there's some parts of their team, they will absolutely maul you up front on both sides of the ball. So
they built a wall.
Yeah, they built a wall.
They built two walls now.
And they built somebody else to break other people's walls. I mean, so it's they got it all going. But I do think, nonetheless, it'll be Nick Foles solidifies the starting spot. I have no doubt about that. I really don't. You know, again, the thing that I think I look at is just such a better pure passer, better decision maker. I think the offense was more aggressive as soon as he came in the game, and that speaks to me in like football world that the coach trusts this guy more, so he's more willing to call aggressive plays. And I think Foles will show that he is certainly better than Mitch Trubisky. This is going to be an interesting game, though. This is one of those that I'm still not sure who I'm going to pick game.
Yeah, I think win or lose, Foles is the guy for a while. I don't think the Bears fans who have been fretting about Trubisky for the last 2 years are suddenly going to abandon Nick Foles after one game, because he's already come in and built up some equity with the come-from-behind win over the Falcons. So, look, even the most ardent Bears fan is going to accept the fact that 3-1 is a hell of a start to the season, and the Colts are pretty damn good, and they have to refocus quickly on Tom Brady coming to town. So it's not like you have a normal week in the aftermath of this game to sit around and say, who should the quarterback be? They got to get right back to it. They've got two challenging games 4 days apart, and that is both fascinating and terrifying to think that when the Bears wake up Sunday morning, they are 4 days away from being 5-0, 3-2, or 4-1.
Crazy.
And you got and those are going to be very impactful games on the final standings, on how well they have a shot at getting to the postseason. As I said earlier this week, if they start 4-0, they just go 500 the rest of the way, and they're 10-6. That's what those early season wins mean. So we'll see what they can do.
Yeah.
Browns 2-1, Cowboys 1-2. What's more likely? Dak Prescott throws for 350 or more passing yards, or Nick Chubb, the Browns' top running back, rushes for 100 yards or more and 2 touchdowns. What's more likely? This one's easy.
It's easy for you? Well,
yeah.
I'm going to go with Nick Chubb. I'm going to go with that.
Maybe it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 350 yards is a lot of yards. It really is. And you know, you're right. I looked at both of these and went like, I could easily see Dak Prescott throwing for 350 yards against this Cleveland Browns secondary that has not been all that impressive yet, and certainly hasn't had a play. I'm just going through my brain here real quick. An offense like this with this passing attack. But I think if I'm going to take one or the other, I'm going to go with Nick Chubb. Now, the Cowboys have not stopped the run all that well here through the first few weeks of the season. So that concerns me. And Nick Chubb, to me, is, you know, we talk about it. He's special. And we've talked about their offensive line. When they run the ball, they are special. They moved Washington out of the way a bunch of times last week. And Washington, nobody's been moving them out of the way so far. So I'm going to go with that. I could certainly see both happening. There's no doubt. But I think Cleveland's got to do this. They got to be going in this game a little going, we can't get in a shootout with them. I don't think we can. We need to run the ball and keep that Dallas offense off the field a little bit. I think they'll be a little cognizant of that and want to run the ball.
But don't you think they're frothing at the mouth a little bit for the opportunity to go against a secondary that got shredded by Russell Wilson last week? That's the challenge.
I know.
You know, we say run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and last week OBJ waves the white flag and says, I'm not going to have a huge year statistically, and then the coach, Kevin Stefanski, says, not so fast. Every game's going to be different. I mean, this would be the ultimate rope-a-dope type of a thing where we all think, including the Cowboys, they're going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Maybe this is a confidence builder game for the passing game, which helps set up more of a pick-your-poison type of a situation if you can improve. That's the ideal situation for the Cleveland Browns, to not have this one-dimensional attack that hinges on the run,
right,
and then you come up against a team that stops it and you can't do anything. This is a great, almost like preseason simulation type game where you've got an opportunity to work your passing game out a little bit more, and maybe you try to do it. I don't know.
I know.
That makes me even more confident it's going to be Dak Prescott with 350 or more passing yards.
I haven't seen anything yet with the Browns to tell me they can get in a shootout and you could trust them to go do that. I don't know if we're there yet. You know, again, Washington, I know they did that to the Bengals and made some plays too, but it wasn't like it was wide open, like we're coming out and shooting out. They started the game throwing a few balls to be aggressive, but what did they go back to? The run game and Nick Chubb, and that's kind of how they solidified that game. Plus, you know, again, Baker Mayfield was not like, I know they won last week and he threw 2 touchdowns. It was not like a great game by their passing offense by any stretch of the imagination. You know, Washington had Cleveland on the ropes a little bit, and Haskins made some dumb plays that gave Cleveland short fields, and it really changed the game that way. So I guess, yeah, I think they got to rely on that run game. I could see this definitely being something that both of these happen, though. There's no doubt.
You know, it's funny. We try to talk about as many teams as we can, but I'm reminded that we must not be talking about Cincinnati enough because I hadn't heard you say Bengals in a while.
It's been a while. Don't worry. When I say it, I always get somebody on Twitter that's like, it's not an 80s band. They're a cat in Cincinnati.
All right, Ravens and Washington getting together this weekend. Ravens 2-1 coming off of that loss to the Chiefs. What's more likely, Lamar Jackson bounces back or Washington replicates the Chiefs' blueprint defensively against Baltimore?
Yeah, I think Washington will be a pain in the butt for Baltimore here for a little while. I really do. Yeah, the defense is too damn good. I mean, when you really look at them, man, I mean, and this secondary plays well, too, to where I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson bounces back, but it's not necessarily because I think it's going to be like it's going to start the game out. We're going to be like, oh, he's good. It's all good. Man, they're going up and down the field. Look at him. He threw for 200 yards in the first half of the game. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it'll have to be more of like it might be ugly first, but their defense in Baltimore really wears down Washington's offense to where then the defense of Washington is just on the field too much and just can't constantly keep pace with Baltimore, and like a dam they break, and that's it. So I think it's more likely that he bounces back, but it won't be like easy and unbelievable statistics to where we're just blown away. I don't think that happens.
There's a fascinating psychological experiment that's going on in Baltimore now because, remember, After the first game, I talked to John Harbaugh. How do you get your guys to forget about last season? He says, we're not forgetting about last season. We're trying to live up to that standard. Well, you get your bubble burst after 2 games that are making you feel pretty good about yourselves. You encounter your kryptonite early in the season. And the Ravens put on social media yesterday a video that's a montage of all the guys on the sidelines saying, it's just one game. We got to refocus. It's just one. This one's a dangerous game for me because on a short week, after getting your butts kicked, after being reminded that for as good as you think you are against everyone else, there's an impediment to what you're trying to ultimately become. It's going to take everything they can to forget about Monday night and move on and be the team that they're capable of being. So I have concerns about this one. I don't know that he's going to bounce back. Maybe it's just going to be a grinded out game where they win it. Maybe he gets shut down to a certain extent. I think what they need to do is try to come out and just reestablish themselves methodically with the running game, the way the Browns did, against Washington. I think that's their best chance. This is a confidence rebuilder type of a game, and they need to be careful that they don't press too much, that they don't try too hard, that they don't have too much urgency. If they just get back to their basics. The basics work against most teams.
Right.
Get back to the basics, rebuild your confidence. So I've kind of talked my way through the maze.
I
think he will have a bounce-back game because I think the game plan needs to be run the ball, and only pass it sparingly or if they put everybody up at the line of scrimmage.
That's where, I think it could be interesting, though. I do because – one, we saw a little regression last week with Lamar Jackson. There's no doubt. I mean, he made a few throws in that game where, I was even talking to my father about this yesterday, and we were just like, damn, I thought he was kind of past that we weren't going to see throws that kind of come out of his hand funny and do that. So that bothered me a little. And the other thing I'll say, too, Mike, I just wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs kind of threw out the blueprint last week to where teams maybe play Baltimore like this early in the game and go, okay, here it is. You're going to have to throw it early to beat us. We're not going to let the run game just gash us down the field and do all that. I just wonder if we're going to see teams start to kind of get more gutsy along that to go, you can't stop everything in Baltimore because they're talented and they're good. So let's just stop the things they're best at and most dangerous at and see if they can beat us with their weakest link. And that's still their drop-back pass game. And I think we could see that here going forward, and Washington playing real aggressive early, kind of calling their bluff that way.
Well, and look, what's the trend that's come to light in the aftermath of the Monday night game? If the Ravens are behind at halftime, they can't come back. So go all in early. Take your chances early. And if you get lucky and you build a lead against the Ravens, maybe it's some level they just, I don't want to say they check out, but they're not built to come from behind. So force the issue early. That's the way to seize the momentum and then hold on late. Again, given the record of Lamar Jackson's Ravens against everyone other than the Chiefs, it would be hard to think the Ravens aren't going to pull this off. But you're right. The Chiefs have maybe begun the process of cracking a code here.
See, right.
The Ravens are going to have to work hard to scramble. They're going to have to come up with some other way if this is what ultimately happens to them week in and week out.
One more thing I just want to bring up, because you brought up the psychosis element and everything like that too, and what's going on there in Baltimore, and of course Lamar Jackson's being questioned a little bit in the pass game too, and just I also find it very intriguing of how complimentary the Ravens have been towards Patrick Mahomes. I mean, over the last, before the game and after the game, whether it was Wink Martindale going $1 billion is still not enough for this quarterback. And then I know guys on the team made similar comments on that on the Tuesday pressers, or maybe it was yesterday's presser or whatever, basically saying that too. I would think that kind of rubs Lamar the wrong way, that he's now become the questionable guy, and now his own team is talking about the greatest thing since sliced bread, Patrick Mahomes, to where I would think he's a very highly motivated person this week, and we'll see what that does in this game.
Yeah, we'll see if it wakes something up or if it causes him to try to do too much, like we see Carson Wentz try to do too much, and that leads to the Sunday night game. Last one real quickly. Eagles at the 49ers. What's more likely, Carson Wentz throws no interceptions or Nick Mullins throws 2 or more touchdown passes against the Philly defense?
I'm going to go with Nick Mullins throws 2 or plus TD passes. I mean, you can't go with Carson Wentz throwing 0 interceptions. I mean, is that possible right now? I mean, he'll probably have 7 guys on his back at one point and try to throw the ball 40 yards down the field. That's what he does. It's like, I really like him and want to root for him because I see really high-end talent. But that crap pisses me off. I can't lie because I like him, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, stop some of this stupid crap. And the other thing I look at is a few weeks ago when the Rams played the Eagles, the Rams just absolutely exposed the Eagles, especially in the first half, and Jim Schwartz a little. And then Schwartz kind of adjusted and went to man and stopped being so confused by everything going every which direction with the Rams and all of that. And they played a little bit better in the second half. But I think that could be a thing that happens this week where he's so worried about the Shanahan run game that they get into some man-to-man situations maybe a little too much. And if you do that, Shanahan will have something for you to where all of a sudden, you think you're stopping the run and you go, whoa, George Kittle's running down the field wide open, or they picked one of our guys and Brandon Ayuk has got nobody in the screen around him. So I'll go with Mullins and throwing the 2 TDs.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. There is, I think, a dynamic with the Eagles where everybody needs to calm down, and they're having a hard time calming down.
Yeah.
Part of it is the pressure from the fans. Part of it is just within the organization. It feels like there's so much stress.
It does.
In the Eagles. Maybe winning that Super Bowl was a curse.
Woo.
I don't know. But everybody seems on edge.
Yeah.
Everybody seems nervous. Everybody seems like they're trying to do too much. And, I think we talked about this earlier in the week. Like, you fall behind in the first half. That's fine. It's okay. The game's not over.
Right.
I mean, the Packers were down 14-3 against the Lions. They didn't freak
didn't
out.
blink
They
an eye.
ended up blowing them off the field.
Right. No, I know. Mike, I think it's a very fair point. And I think, like you said, even the fans and the media, I feel like ever since they won the Super Bowl, they expect Super Bowl every year now. Super Bowl. We're Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. It's not that easy. It's not. And they've been to the playoffs every freaking year since then. And, they've hit some hiccups here. And life has gotten hard. I mean, they don't help out Carson Wentz either. I mean, we know that. As much as we want to blame, and he needs to be better at managing the football game, damn, there is nobody on that offense that is scary or nothing systematically I look at right now to go, whoa, they do this really good, and it's hard for teams to figure out this scheme the way they do it. Just a lot of question marks with Philadelphia right now, and offensively challenged against that 49ers defense. I know it's still banged up defense, but it's still a good one, and they can still rush the passer. And without weapons, it's gonna lead him to force a ball and throw an interception.
Yeah, and I said this yesterday on our football pod in America. Eagles fans, chill. You have a fairly new Lombardi trophy, and there are plenty of fans out there that would love to just have that one in the lobby. Not 2, not 6, not 10. 1 would be fine. The Bills would love to have 1. The Bengals would love to have 1. The Browns would love to just get to a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. The Titans, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Chargers. That's just the AFC.
You're on a roll.
The teams
Good
that
job.
don't have Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, just be happy that you've got your Super Bowl. Don't expect it every single year.
And you're in the NFC least, and you're never dead in the NFC least.
Some sort of a drug. I don't know. There are plenty of fan bases out there that would love to have that problem of having to adjust their reality to it. I know where you're going. To the fact that there's a Super Bowl trophy in the lobby.
Right.
How do we go forward now that we've actually finally made it to the top of the mountain?
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.